everybody. Hi, Sean. Right, I want the loudest round of applause for the lovely, the amazing Sean Gunn. Come on. Come on.
Hello.
Hello. You're right.
Doing good.
Take a wee seat.
Hi, everybody.
How are you feeling, sir? Are you still jet lagged?
You know, a little bit. I'm all right.
Cool.
It's a little harder coming this direction than going back, but I'll manage.
We'll keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
I promise.
Good.
So let's get straight into it. Okay, have you seen any amazing cosplay so far?
Yes. My favorite cosplay today was there's a guy who was dressed as as one of the prisoners from the first Guardians movie. The guy who Rocket says, I'm going to need that guy's leg. And so he was here with a fake leg, which I signed, of course. And I really enjoyed that. I've never seen that cosplay in 50-something conventions now.
But if imagine, take yourself back. You're a young kid.
Uh-huh.
You come to Comic-Con.
Okay.
Okay, who would you cosplay as if you had the choice?
Oh gosh. I think I probably would have cosplayed as Super Grover from Sesame Street. Does anyone know who Super Grover is?
Yes.
Is that I don't know if Sesame Street was popular over here in the UK, but yeah, so there was a character named Grover, and he would dress up as Super Grover, which was essentially just a bed sheet and some sort of weird helmet that he made. Anyway, I loved Super Grover as a kid. I don't know why.
So let's talk about fandoms, because we've got lots of different fandoms.
Okay.
Some that are in their own little islands, some that cross over. But let's talk about Gilmore Girls and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Okay, or Gilmore Girls and Marvel.
Those are the two I'm best equipped
Yes.
to discuss.
So, tell me, Sean, how do they differ from each other, those two fandoms? You know, when you're signing autographs and you're meeting fans.
Well, if anything, they differ in that the Gilmore Girls fans are even more intense than the MCU fans are in some ways. They're you know, I think that they appeal to different types of people a little bit. There's certainly lots of fans of both, but Gilmore Girls fans really are they are drawn to community and the idea that you know your neighbors and that your neighbors are like family to you. I think whereas Marvel fans are drawn more to honor and sense of duty and that kind of thing. But I think it's probably more illuminating to see how they're the same, you know, than how they're different. And I think in general that what I like about going to conventions is that the fandoms are all unique unto themselves, but the idea of fandom is uniform for everybody. And the idea that you're finding a community of people who enjoy what you enjoy and who are drawn to the same types of stories, I think is really positive. And I think it's a good thing for people to get together with like-minded people.
You're now in this different phase of your life when you look back at Gilmore Girls. How do you feel looking back on that now, and the impact that character played in your life?
Well, it's really trippy to me to have something be such an important part of my life that I didn't know at the time. I certainly didn't know when I started doing Gilmore Girls that it would end up dominating such a massive part of my life and be such a major part of my career. You know, I just went in and auditioned for one day on one episode, and it ended up being 7 years of work followed by, you know, another decade plus of people talking to me about my work and enjoying it and all that kind of thing. And so it's been very strange.
So who'd you get recognized for most then? Obviously not at the convention, but like on the streets, because you've got the luxury of, I guess, not, you know, you've played very important, recognizable roles, but not in that way that, say, like there's a Brad Pitt or, you know, because you can play real characters, you know?
I've had an interesting career in terms of getting recognized because I've never been super famous, but I've been a little bit famous for like, almost 20 years. So I get recognized from time to time. Forever, it was always Gilmore Girls. And even after the first Guardians movie came out and I started doing conventions, I was still recognized way more often. Oh, look, there I am.
Look at that. Oh, look at you all fresh-faced there.
He hasn't aged a bit, has he?
What do you think when you see that photo? You go, oh my god, because yeah.
I remember that time in my life because that photo was taken right when I became a series regular. So it was right in between seasons 2 and 3 of Gilmore Girls. So I would have been in my late 20s and, living in LA. And it was like, oh, I thought I had it figured out. I look back now and I see that guy and I'm like, oh, he thought he was there. I thought I'd made it. I'm on a TV show now. It's just going to get better and better and better and easier and easier and easier from here on out. That is not the case. That's not how it works out. That's not how careers go. But, I wish I could go back and tell him a couple of things. The guy on the left.
Yeah.
And about ways to run his career. But it's pretty funny to see these photos.
So, who would you rather have a night out with if you had the choice? Kraglin or Kirk?
Oh, God. Kraglin or Kirk? That is not an easy question. Do I have to go out with either of them?
You have to have at least one drink before you get to go home.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got to have one drink. I think I would rather have a drink with Kraglin. He certainly has a lot more interesting stories. He could certainly tell me about some weird planets and stuff like that he's been to. So as long as he's not wanting to kill me, I would rather sit down and talk to Kraglin. Kirk, I think, would dominate the conversation and would be wanting to, it'd be like, dude, shut up, I think, after a little while.
Now, at San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel's What If got announced.
Yes.
And you've signed up for this.
I went and did a little thing. I don't know how much I'm able to say, but I went and did a little bit with them. They bounce around, so they're going. For those of you who don't know, Marvel's doing a What If animated series, and I've seen some of the animation, which is just awesome. But they're going to all the different, all the different franchises. I think have a little part in it, and we did a little thing with the Ravagers.
Because the whole thing is that the What If series tells non-canonical stories.
Yes.
To do with characters in the Marvel universe. So, I wanted to ask, what do you envisage for Kraglin? Like, what if you were to write his own story?
Gosh, my brother and I talked about a pretty extensive backstory for Kraglin before we shot the second movie, because I had thought about him. When we shot the first movie, I didn't really even know who the character was yet. And we played with it in many different ways. We played with him being sort of bored all the time. We did one where he was more of a maniac, one where he's a little bit more of a goofball. And so it wasn't until I actually saw the movie that I knew where that character kind of landed. And then we talked about what his backstory is going into the second movie and how long he's known, because it's important for the second Guardians to know how long has Kraglin known Quill. And was he there when we know by the end of the first movie that he was there when they picked him up. And so we talked a little bit about his backstory. Now, in terms of what I would imagine for him going forward, gosh, I try to stay out of that part of as an actor, I like to clear my head because none of that has anything to do with me. It's like the storytellers, when they write, they tell their part of the story. And then my job is to come in and sort of interpret that. So I can imagine what Kraglin might do now that he's got the fin and he's trying to learn how to use the arrow. I can imagine how he would approach that. But I don't have any idea of how that went or how it's going to go until I actually read the script for the next movie and get to see that kind of thing,
Now, you do some motion reference acting.
Yes.
And like for Rocket and things like that.
Yes.
Now, I've seen you walking around. Look at that
Yeah.
little green suit. I've seen you walking around on all fours on set. Any tips for walking around on all fours? How it looks really.
Oh gosh.
It looks so painful.
When I do it, and I don't think I could do it in these pants, but I have just incredibly open hips, and so it's for whatever reason my body folds up enough that I'm able to do it. Any tips I have? Gosh, I don't know. Stay in shape as much as you can.
And have an open hip.
It's yeah, I know, I know. Now, fortunately, I wore this outfit in the first movie, but in the second movie and in the 2 Avengers movies, I was upgraded to a more comfortable gray tracksuit, so I wasn't wearing the onesie like I am there.
Right. Now, can you tell us anything about the next Guardians movie or anything else that's happening in the MCU?
It's interesting you ask that because no, I cannot.
Damn! I thought there might be a chance, Sean. There might be a chance.
I can tell you that we're not shooting. We're still not going to shoot for a little bit because my brother's doing Suicide Squad first, and he's pretty excited about that. And I have read that script for that movie, and it's just so good. And then so we won't be getting to Guardians after that. I think that since the movie was pushed to a little bit later, I don't know if it's going to stay exactly how it was or if it's going to be fiddled with and tinkered with, if the script will be tinkered with before we actually before we get to it, but we'll see.
Now, I wanted to just play a little game called Real Imagined Futures.
Okay.
Now,
I'm familiar with this
You
game.
are familiar with this because when I was over in LA, Sean very kindly featured, this is my podcast, and he featured on this podcast is what happened to famous movie characters after their stories ended.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean chose the film Clueless, and we talked about the film Clueless for about an hour and what happened to those characters, so you can go check that out. But today, we're keeping it Marvel-centric.
Okay.
So let's imagine at the end of Endgame. Of course, you've seen Endgame, right?
I've seen it, yes. I was at the premiere.
So, right, of course. I've only chosen a few characters here because if we would be here forever and ever, okay? And then we're going to hand over to the floor. Morgan Stark, Tony Stark's little girl. Where do you think, what do you think would happen to her after? Like, there you go. There's little Morgan.
Yes.
There's Tony.
She's a delightful young woman, that actress. She was very happy to be. She sat right in front of me at the premiere, and she was so excited to see herself on screen, which I thought was just adorable. But that's not your question. Your question is, in the future, what happens to her? First of all, we've got to imagine that she's either going to be just fine because of how wealthy she is, or she's going to develop a severe drug problem because of how wealthy she is. So let's just hope that people keep steering her in the right direction. But I'd like to hope that her father left a suit for her to put on at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be nice?
But maybe she's so messed up by the situation, hating anything that isn't from planet Earth because, her dad got killed, that maybe she uses the suit for evil.
Okay.
Could be a thing.
I can buy in on that. That sounds like a pretty good villain, actually.
Cool. Or we can do the drug route.
Yeah.
Or we can go down there. Okay, let's talk about Bruce Banner, Hulk. Okay, what do you think? There he is.
Oh gosh,
handsome
Smart
Hulk.
Yeah.
So, what do you think happens to him next? I loved this interpretation of Hulk in Endgame. I thought it was great.
Smart Hulk?
Yeah. Ruffalo's brilliant. He is so great.
Yeah, no, I know. I was very... we had this fascinating technology on set where when we were shooting those scenes with Smart Hulk, that he'd be wearing his mocap suit, but on the monitor, it would already convert him to Smart Hulk on the monitor that the directors were watching. So at least they would know how tall he would look like a cartoon almost. But it was so cool. Again, Smart Hulk is going to be just fine. I think he really enjoyed the attention that he got, and he was finally sort of okay with stepping into his role as a hero and as somebody who would save people. Bruce Banner always shied away from that. Smart Hulk loves it, and so I'd actually like to see a Smart Hulk movie.
I'd like to see a Smart Hulk chat show. So I think that he'd be like an Oprah type figure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking Smart Hulk chat show, chatting with Hulk. If you
That's
like.
good. Yeah, no, I think, and he'd have plenty to talk about, right? He's very bright. He knows about a variety of subjects, and he's had an interesting life.
Yeah, getting
So
tapped
I like that.
coming out of like cars and limousines with like really lovely looking ladies.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we've solved it. That's it. We've solved
Okay.
the future. So I'm going to hand it over to the floor here because that's the most important thing. Do you have any questions for Sean? Yep. Okay, I'm going to start in the front row because that's better on my knees. I've been on my feet all day. Hello, how are you doing, sir? What's your name and what's your question?
My name's Joe. You've been to 50 cons. What's the difference or similarities between the States and Europe with the cons, good and bad?
Let's see. Well, I would say again they're more similar than they are different. He asked about cons in the States versus here. So I would say that they're similar in a lot of ways. Over here, from my perspective, it's way more. People know me way more from Guardians over here. Gilmore Girls is not as popular in the UK as it is in the United States. So that's true from my perspective. We don't do selfies at the tables here. But, for the most part, I think it's pretty similar, actually. I think things are pretty close.
Thank you very much. Okay, Yorkshire Spider-Man's back. Okay, what's your question? What's your name?
My name's Kieran, and did you like singing the Soup song in Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
The Soup song?
Yeah.
What about it? Do I like it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I love it. I love singing the Soup song, and that was a delicious bowl of lentil soup, in case anyone's wondering.
Okay, what is your name, sir?
My name is Mackenzie, and I'd just like to ask you, what's it like to be the next Yondu and to drive an arrow through Drax's shoulder?
Well, Mackenzie here asked what it's like to be the next Yondu, and I would say that hold off judgment on whether Kraglin can live up to Yondu. Yondu, when we saw Yondu wield the arrow, he was a master. When we saw Kraglin attempt to wield it, it went directly into Drax. So I think that I think that we have to wait and see whether Kraglin gets any better at that, because what I can tell you from what we shot in Endgame is that there's a tiny piece with Kraglin that we shot that didn't really make it into the movie, where he's flying a ship, and Kraglin has the arrow, but it is sheathed on his hip. So make of that what you will.
Okay. All right, lovely. What's your name and what's your question?
Tom, and where would you like to take Kraglin in the future, character arc-wise?
Tom asked where I'd like to take Kraglin in the future. Again, I always enjoy what happened. I enjoy reading the scripts of what happens next, but I try to keep my mind clear of it until I know for sure. So until the storyteller tells me what my character is doing, I try not to think about it, because it messes up my job then. If I was like, oh, I'd love it if Kraglin got really good at the arrow and he was great, and then and he does this and that, and then I read the script and it's like, oh, he doesn't learn how to use the arrow, he's terrible at it, and so he puts it aside, then I think it would kind of mess with my reading of the character. So I try to kind of just keep my brain clear of that stuff and not think about it too much.
Okay, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Adam, and what was the hardest MCU film which you have been in to actually make in film?
What was the hardest film from the MCU to make? That's an interesting question. I actually think that in some ways probably Infinity War, for me at least, was probably the most difficult to make. I didn't know those actors yet as much. and I was kind of walking into a new situation, and Rocket is just very, very physical. So a lot of the scenes that I'm shooting as Rocket are physically hard on my body, and so I'd say that one.
Okay, I've got a question from this gentleman over here.
Oh, from Zach. Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Okay, what is your question?
Is more film coming?
Yes. Yes, there are more films coming. We're going to do Guardians 3 before too long, and then, of course, for the rest of the MCU, there's a whole bunch of films coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, next question. Hello, sir.
Hi, I'm Dominic. Regarding your filming, when it came to doing a motion capture for Rocket and Untitled Kraglin, was your schedule separated enough where you didn't necessarily have the issue of just quickly slipping into one character to another?
Not the question about my schedule for, particularly for Guardians 2, where I was playing both Kraglin and Rocket. It was not really split up that much. I would be kind of, I had a lot more days as Rocket because Rocket's role is larger, but they were the Kraglin days were sort of scattered, interspersed amongst my Rocket days, and they actually do have, I think, 4 scenes together in that movie. And so on those days when we shot those scenes, I'd be actually doing double duty and kind of going back and forth from one outfit to the other, or trying to do Rocket with my Kraglin wardrobe on, which was always very difficult, depending on what Rocket is doing physically. But no, it took a lot more concentration, and that was tricky in a lot of ways.
Thank you very much. Okay, who's next here? It's you, sir, and then I'll get to you. Okay, what's your name and what's your question?
My name's Craig. My question is, what was your favourite scene to film with both Rocket or Kraglin?
My favorite scene as Rocket or Kraglin? Gosh, there's so many that I like, but the one that sticks out the most to me is the 12% of a plan scene from the first Guardians. And performing that scene as Rocket, which was just really great because it was just the Guardians that were on set, and you know, having a full day to shoot a scene like that. I think when we shot that scene, we all had a very clear sense of what the movie was and why we were there, and so something really dropped in when we shot that. That was really, really special. That said, I do prefer being on camera. I like playing Kraglin, and there's so many great Kraglin scenes, but definitely from the second movie, Kraglin's scene with Nebula, where he talks about a necklace or pretty hat or something like that. I love shooting that scene. I think it's so funny. It's fun to play, and I got to work with Karen Gillan, who's just a superb actress.
Thank you very much. Is that Spidey Gwen? Yeah, hello, Spidey Gwen. Okay, what's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name's Robin. I was just wondering, were there any skills you learned from Gilmore Girls that became unexpectedly useful in the Marvel movies?
Oh gosh, I wish there were skills from Gilmore Girls. I had to learn to swing dance. I had to learn to walk on stilts, which was just a wonderful skill. I have not put that to use yet in my in the MCU. Dancing, maybe something like that.
Thank you very much, Spidey Gwen. Okay, what's your name? What's your question?
Hi, I'm Georgia.
Hi.
You said that you liked filming the scene where you were talking to Nebula about the pretty hat. Would that be your favorite Kraglin quote, or is there another quote that you really like?
Oh gosh, I think so. I love that. I love that quote from Kraglin. Ooh, that's nice. I like Captain's Got to Teach stuff from the first movie. I think it would be, yeah.
Okay, next question. Oh, here we are, just in time. Okay, what's your name, lovely, and what's your question?
Hi, my name's Lacey. I was just wondering, Kirk's scenes were filmed a lot in Luke's diner, and I'm just wondering how much you actually got to eat on set, and what your favorite thing to eat was.
Oh my goodness.
Good question. Thank you.
What we got to eat on set in Luke's diner are generally not eating very much. Even though it looks like we're eating, we're usually not eating too much. I don't eat meat, so I would always make sure that there was no sausage on my plate, or if there was, I wouldn't actually be eating it. But I think a couple of times I got some pretty good waffles.
Sean, is this Sean? Sean, listen. Do you mind ceasing with the eating thing and answer a question? I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir. There's an elderly man here in the row who has a question. Yes, sir. What is it?
I forgot my question. What was my question?
Where's the bathroom, sir?
No. Oh God, woman, stop it! Jeez, this is live Instagram. We can't be talking about bathroom potty stuff. We're not doing potty language here. This is a real, honest to goodness.
Come on, Claire, get your mind out of the gutter, please.
So, Mr. Gunn, why do they call your show Gunn on the Sofa? On the Sofa with Sean Gunn.
On the Sofa with Sean.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of On the Sofa with Sean Gunn.
With Sean Gunn, that does not sound proper.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that.
Did you not just get married?
I did just get married, everybody.
Sean just got married.
Let's hear it.
Honey, why are you eating your bag? Stop eating the plastic. You know, there's plenty of that in the ocean. So if you get hungry, you could just take a swim. Sean, I won't interrupt anymore.
She's very upset by that. You tell her you were kidding.
I'm sorry. Did you get mad at me? I'm seriously saddened. I'm sorry. Here, you can hit me. Go ahead.
Take him up on it. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, you better take this mic away and let me get out of here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Rosa. Michael Rook, everyone. Okay. Now, this poor lady got interrupted. She was waiting, and then this old guy just stole the mic. Anyway, lovely. I'm going to pass it down. Name and question.
Hi, my name is Ray, and I was just wondering when you shot the funeral scene in Endgame, were you one of the actors they told that it was like a wedding instead of a funeral?
Was I one of the actors that they told it was a wedding? Yes, but I was told the way that I bet most of them were told was they said, yeah, so we're going to be shooting the wedding scene. I knew, even though we called it the wedding, I thought we were just calling it that to make sure that there were no leaks and nothing got out. But I was aware of what we were shooting, and I think the people that weren't aware of what we were shooting, maybe they're a little dim. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, we've got this lady right here in front of me. What's your name and what's your question?
It's Liz. Hiya. I've met Sean earlier. Of all Kirk's get-rich-quick schemes, which was your favourite?
Good question. Thanks, Liz. Cheers.
Get-rich-quick schemes. Kirk had a wonderful scheme where he was selling the jewelry of old women that he had befriended. So it's got to be that one, right? That's also the only one I can remember. So that's the one. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, T-shirts. Yeah, that was good too.
Okay, I've got time for one more. Thank you very much, Liz. Cheers. This gentleman here, nice and easy for me. I don't have to move. Okay, what's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name's Kevin. My question is, when what happened to your brother, how much did that test your loyalties to MCU?
That's a great question, and I don't have. I wish I had. That's a question that deserves a long answer, but I'll try to give a short one. The question was after my brother got fired, how did it test my loyalties to MCU? Well, fortunately, I was not. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I was not yet under contract for the next movie when that happened. So I had the luxury of not having to decide whether whether or not I'm only doing the movie once I'm hired to do it. So it's a complicated question. I think that there was some mistakes that were obviously made on the other part, but they were in response to mistakes that were made certainly on my brother's part many years ago. And so I'm fortunate in that I like to just be on the sidelines and observe what happened. I think that it's just and proper that my brother was rehired and will be making the third movie. And I'm very happy about that. And I'm lucky in that I can just be happy about that, and I don't have to talk too much more about it. I'm an actor. I don't want my name in the paper for any reason other than that I did a great job acting in something.
Quite right.
So
Quite right. Yes.
yeah.
Round of applause. Good answer. You don't want drama, basically. Nobody wants drama. And are we looking forward to the next run of movies? Yes. Yes. Now, I think that's all. Dale, we're done. Dale's giving me the nod. Right, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to be on the sofa. I think we're in the main stage, though, but it'll be with Michael and yourself.
Oh, great.
Okay, so we'll get to see you both. You look really happy about that.
Yeah, great. That's really, really
so
excellent.
do join us tomorrow. There'll be different questions and things like that, and Sean will be here all day tomorrow. Guys, I want you to thank Sean by giving him a huge round of applause. Like, really go for it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Sean, thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
Oh, Sean Gunn, you're the best. Thank you. Turn the
Thanks,
thing
Sean
on.
Gunn, everyone.
Okay,
Sean
turn